This is the Illuminate podcast, a Sandy Boy production. Each week on the Illuminate podcast, the hosts will bring you insightful conversations and stories of people who are illuminating their own lives through their business, work, community, family, and world. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Illuminate podcast. I am one of your hosts, Lindsay Hine, and today you're listening to episode 63. Today I'm talking with Crouse and Trevor DeWitt, two men here in Indianapolis who went on an endeavor to run 10 miles a day until they reached 1,000 miles for a project they called 1001 City. This was during a time when things felt very difficult in our country and things felt very divided. So they started this in June, and their goal was to simply go for a run and get to know different people in different neighborhoods of the city and to just feel connected with other human beings who live in the city of Indianapolis. Ultimately, they ended up donating thousands of dollars to the Monumental Kids program through the Indianapolis Monumental Marathon, which is a program that helps kids in the city of Indianapolis stay active and get involved with running. They donated thousands of dollars to that organization. So what you're going to hear in this conversation is you're going to get to know Casey and Trevor, their backstory, and then we're going to hear all about the project and what their hope and intention was for the project, as well as what they hope to see moving forward. Such an inspiring story of two people who were searching for a purpose to do something good during this crazy time in our country and our world and connect with those in their community. This episode is super casual. We actually were able to do this episode in person in my home, and so you get a little bit more of that casual feel. And at one point, we may have even had an interruption because a bird flew in my house, and I left it in because it was so funny. Anyway, enjoy this conversation, friends, and if you do love it, please share it with your friends on social media and leave us a rating and review on the podcast app of your choice that you listen on. All right, enjoy my conversation with Crouse and Trevor DeWitt. All right, well, we're doing our first in-person interview since the world fell apart in March. Welcome to the show, Crouse and Trevor DeWitt. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Great. Happy to be here. I asked you how I'll know when to speak next, but I realized since we're in person, it will be when you look at me.
What are you going to direct questions at certain people? I'll just look at you and we'll know. Yeah, this is fun because I was just saying I haven't done an in-person interview since the Olympic trials in February. And I had made a goal in 2020, like my goal in 2019 for 2020 was to do more in-person interviews. And then COVID happened, and it was like the world was telling me that just wasn't ever going to happen again.
Yeah.
And here we are, 7 months later, and we're finally doing it. So this is exciting.
You're really going to have to pack them in the rest of the year for maybe some more in-person opportunities now.
I know. So we're having you guys on the show because you have ventured into this really cool project, 1001 City, and the new shoe day.
New shoe day.
Okay, and new shoe day. But Casey, I remember when you reached out to me about this, and I was going to come run with you guys one time, but I had just hurt my foot. And then I was like, well, I'll have to wait. And then I literally didn't run for 7 weeks. So did you start 1001 City after COVID started happening? When did you start it?
Yeah, I remember reaching out to you, I think over Instagram. Yeah. We started it actually June 1st.
Okay, so it was well into COVID.
Yeah, so well into the pandemic and COVID and all that going on. And really it was, June 1st was a pretty important date. It was basically right after all the, the riots and the kind of the uproar and awakening that was happening in our communities happened. And that was part of the, inspiration of the project even too. So
time just like blurs together. The fact that I couldn't even I didn't even know if it was March or June or February that you started it, because I specifically remember you reaching out. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So before we dive into what 1001 City is, share a little bit about your own personal backgrounds. I know you both work for EdgeX Mentoring, so just share with the listeners what you do and what your life is like.
Sure, I'll start. This is Trevor. We both work for Edge Mentoring. I've been there about 2 years. I'm the operations manager. Handle all things with a website, as I like to say. So that involves a little bit of everything: finance, budget, email marketing, anything with a website, our conference, etc. I do a little bit of consulting on the side, but in my kind of personal life have reinvigorated my competitive nature through running over the last 2 years. So funny enough, my experience at Edge, my running career, and my relationship with Casey all start on the same timeline. So we'll get into that hopefully in a little bit. But I feel kind of like the healthiest version of myself, despite eating cluster truck before this.
It's so good,
at
though.
this point in in my life, kind of coming to the end of my 20s, I feel kind of most invigorated and challenged by running and some of the challenges we choose to put ourselves through. We'll dig into that. Cluster truck, thankfully, is now finally in the Sobro area.
Oh, it is.
As soon as I bought a house in Sobro, so it's almost like I'm their most important client.
Yeah, they knew. They were like, well, we'll get enough business because you live in Sobro.
And I moved out of downtown and was just devastated that I was no longer going to have it. He got it in Carmel, like earlier in the year when they expanded. And
I didn't know they have one in
Carmel. I was left out to dry, so they're in Fishers now too.
So for you non-local listeners, that Cluster Truck is a restaurant delivery service here in Indianapolis, and we're actually, I thought we were on the border because we get.
I think you're on the old border.
Yeah, we're on the old border in Midtown, but it's so good. The burritos are so good. I was gonna say, what did you have for lunch?
I had the arroz con pollo.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
Chicken and rice and like corn and little Mexican dish. The best part is that they have like such diversity of food.
Yeah,
like, you can get Thai, pizza, wings. We love pad Thai. You get tacos, breakfast foods, tater tots.
Oh, I mean a tater tot. That's
this won't be a healthy eating.
I built a bowl.
Casey eats super healthy, but I don't. So,
my husband got on this kick. It was like right when everybody was quarantined that he kept buying tater tots, and I was like, look, I know the kids love tater tots. I love tater tots, but like I can't just make a habit of eating tater tots for breakfast every day. This is not like, and I feel like it's acceptable because it technically is a breakfast food, but like this is not how I need to be starting my days.
But you can make it. I mean, have you heard of tachos?
Oh, you can make it an evening.
You can make it an evening. I mean, it's an
Very
all day affair
food,
with tots.
Dip it in syrup.
Because I feel better eating a tot. Because I feel like
French fries for some reason.
Well, no, like I wouldn't eat a French fry for breakfast, but I'm basically eating a French fry when I eat a tater tot for breakfast, right?
Potatoes all day for me.
Yeah. So he stopped buying them, thankfully.
Yeah.
I was like,
you just have to run them off. That's what we learned through this project. And then since the project ended, I'm up 10
Totally
pounds,
justified. As many tots as possible now.
Like this needs to be a special weekend thing or something. I feel the same way about donuts for breakfast because I'm like, I'm eating dessert for breakfast. I get that they're an exciting thing for kids and a Saturday, Sunday morning thing, but I never feel good after I eat a donut for breakfast.
You're right.
Unless I have, in fact, just ran 10 miles and then I really don't care.
Do whatever you want.
Yeah. Okay, before we do a Casey introduction, can you just, Trevor, share what you guys do at Edge?
Sure. So Edge Mentoring is a intergenerational mentoring organization. We're a nonprofit based out of Indianapolis, but our reach is across the United States. So most people participate in a variety of mentoring relationships, for the most part in a group fashion. So as a mentee or mentor, some in kind of personal life categories, some in work life and professional categories. So I myself have actually been a mentee a little bit prior to even joining on at Edge a couple years ago, but I'm in a group, kind of whole life group. So it mixes personal, professional, spiritual mentoring relationships with other men in their younger years, kind of south of 35. And we have a mentor who's about 58. sorry, Pete, if I upshot that, but we all kind of share life together. And so guys are at different stages in life. A few of us are not yet married. A few are married with a couple kids. So getting to share and discuss important topics of the day, along with just learning what it's like to be a young husband, working still, just learning from people and exposing yourself to people at different life stages is kind of what Edge is all about, and building those relationships that you wouldn't normally put yourself in. We've also recently this year in 2020 launched a Edge at Work program where we're kind of taking people from different local organizations, mixing them together as part of their leadership development curriculum kind of internally. And so we're becoming that preferred partner for a lot of local organizations to give people access to the content, the discussions, the group relationships to help build their own leadership skills.
Is it just for men, though?
No, it's not. So
okay.
I'll clarify that. The traditional Edge groups that exist that kind of dive into all topics of life are historically gender-based, so there are men's groups and women's groups. The Edge at Work program that is a little more recent is a mix of both. So people from different organizations around the city, for-profit, non-profit, big, small, men and women are all kind of pushed together into one group to learn from each other. Okay.
Because I've been to the conferences, and I know there's a mixed crowd, and also like the speakers are both men and women. And
the last element that I would have left out would be our events and conferences. So EdgeX is we finished our 5th year of EdgeX this year virtually. So was exciting, new challenge, certainly something I didn't expect to have to deal with as the year started, but I'm happy to say we pulled it off with what feels like a success. It's usually a half-day kind of high-energy leadership conference, various speakers and topics from the sports worlds, authors, various motivational type speakers. This year we had a few really exciting ones.
Who'd you have
we
this
might
year?
Talk about Jesse Itzler a bit, so he's a big fan.
Is that Sarah?
He's now a big fan of ours.
Sarah Blakely's husband.
I was going to say, is that Sarah Blakely's husband?
Yeah. So we're super fans of his. We actually got to go down and shoot his keynote at his house and spend a little time with him earlier.
Did you meet Sarah
in September?
Didn't meet
Sarah. No, we
Sarah.
didn't get to.
Dang.
Usually the first question we get to.
Yeah.
So we weren't surprised by
He's
it.
cool and all, but she invented Spanx.
He is, yeah. And congrats to her. They just celebrated their one of their big anniversaries, I think.
It was 20, I saw.
20 years, yeah. And Jesse did a virtual Ironman yesterday, so out of nowhere.
I saw that on his post, and I was like, I wonder, because I follow him too, and I was like, I wonder if he's going to get ridiculed for that, because you could really get yourself injured doing an Ironman.
Yeah, she also didn't know
untrained.
about it until like the day before, which is the funny part. He was like, honey, by the way, I'll be tied up all of tomorrow. Just if you need to find me.
Did he finish it?
Yeah, he finished it. And,
okay, I'm going to have to go check out what his Instagram updates are.
And after meeting him, I'm totally not surprised. He's just like that now.
Oh, what? Is he a fit guy, though? Like, he didn't do the Ironman training, but he exercises and like is in shape?
He's on a training plan.
Yeah,
I mean, for sure. He's very active.
He's on Strava now, so you can kind of see what he's doing.
Okay.
And he's training for
Ultraman.
So
wait. Tell everybody what exactly an Ultraman is.
I don't know the exact distances.
Is it 7 Ironmans in 7 days or something like that?
It's something crazy like that. It's like triple the swim, the bike's like 2 or 3x, and then I think you run 50 some odd miles.
And they're in Hawaii, right? Or
I don't know. I don't know if he's
there
doing it.
There is one in Hawaii because I've heard Rich Roll talk about that.
Or that's where Rich's was.
So you got to go to Sarah Blakely's house.
Yep.
I mean Jesse's house. You went to Sarah Blakely's house.
Yep.
So that was a cool part
awesome.
of getting him as a speaker this year. His talk was just
fire.
30 minutes of fire. We watched him build it as we got there. So he got the context of what he was supposed to be speaking about. We watched him prep his own 30-minute keynote and then deliver it in the course of about 40 minutes. And it was absurd to watch someone of that caliber craft what he did in live time.
Yeah, I mean,
that's really fast.
Professional speakers like him, like we equated it to like a professional basketball player just like stepping on the court and like flipping the switch, and he totally did that with us.
He prepped, and then once it was live time, it was
he like looked up at us and he was like, I'm ready. And then 35 minutes, one take, and it was so energetic. He was the crowd favorite. And,
oh wow.
It was cool for us because he's in the same scene as us with the running and the endurance and just kind of the motivating others. And we asked him for a run, and he rain checked us.
Oh man!
So we're gonna cash that.
So we're cashing that for sure. And he's part owner of the Atlanta Hawks.
Okay.
And so like I interviewed him with a Hawks jersey on.
Okay.
And he was like, and because of the Hawks jersey, he's like, I'll do 100 burpees for you too. So we're probably gonna just show up at his doorstep in the next month or two.
He promised us a cold plunge. He's big into cold plunges.
Oh yeah,
so
like the polar plunge.
This week I built one at my house, so I had the guys over yesterday. And by built, I mean I went to Tractor Supply Store and bought a
tub,
a metal tub, and filled it with ice water. So we plunged yesterday.
You did? Did you do it for a reason, like a cause?
No. Well, yeah. It's race week.
Race week. Yeah.
We're just kind of mentally prepping for a race Saturday. But yeah, anytime anyone's in the neighborhood and wants to plunge, you can come to East 51st Street.
Yeah.
What's Saturday? Are you doing Monumental Virtual early or something?
Tecumseh 50K.
Oh, okay. So it's a real race.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing is that in person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty small. It's
Yeah.
150 people.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's looking to be sloppy if this rain keeps up, but we're
the trail races are kind of the first to really come back because the crowd is so small.
Trevor's going for a distance PR, so
yep. Last year Monumental was the first.
You
marathon.
Did the full?
Yep, and we got sidetracked a bit. All the things got canceled this year.
Did you say 50K or 50 miler?
50K.
Okay. Yeah. And you've done a 50K?
Done a 50K. Yeah. So
amongst higher distances.
Ultras, you've done a lot of ultras.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and a lot. I don't know if is the right way to say it, but yeah, I've done the distances and have dreams to do more.
Okay. So then let's go to then that's a good segue to go to your story. You also work at Edge. What else about your life? I know you mentioned you have a 2-year-old.
Yeah. So my wife and I married almost 6 years this Saturday. So
congratulations.
Shout out to her. She's letting me race
on your anniversary.
Day of our anniversary. I don't know. I kind of cushioned it with like, Trevor's got this race and I'm going to try to help him.
And you need to be there.
He needs the support of all 25 of us that are running this.
Yeah. So I'm, we'll be okay. And she's very supportive.
Danica.
Yeah. Thanks.
Shout out to Danica.
Shout out to Danica. And yeah, we have a 2-year-old boy named Remy, and she's also 32 weeks pregnant.
Oh, wow.
So we've got another one coming here soon. Don't know, a boy or girl.
Oh, did you find out with your first?
We didn't. It was just the ultimate.
You're those people.
Thrill. We are those people.
Our mutual friend Sarah Holsapple gets you because they never find out either.
Yeah. Well, I think it would be an incredible experience both ways, but we just loved it too much.
It's really cool. I've had 4 kids and I didn't find out for one of them.
Okay.
And it was my second.
Yeah.
And it was great. But then once you have 2 of the same gender, you get to 3 and you're like, I really want to know if I'm having a little girl, if I have 2 boys. And then once you get to 3, you really want to know if you're having a little girl and, then you have another boy. So
yeah. And we've got all boys on our side of the family. And, everyone is kind of hoping for that girl. Yeah. I'll just say that. And
because you said your sister has 4 boys.
My sister-in-law. So my brother has 4 boys. And then, we tossed out another boy and everyone's like, great, you've got a basketball team, but everyone really just is waiting on that girl. So it's all up to us at this point. And
it's happened, whatever it is.
Yeah, I guess. So and I work at Edge, and I worked at Edge for about 3 years.
Okay.
So I focus mostly on kind of external facing stuff with partners and then participants that get involved in the programs that Trevor was talking about. And it's a great experience. That's how I met Trevor. So he came on staff about a year after me, and the rest is history, as they say.
And they get to meet all kinds of cool people like Bob Goff and Tony Dungy. Who else? I'm trying to think of who are some other really big names. Oh, you guys had
we had Tamika Catchings one year. Mitch Daniels was also here.
No, but I'm thinking of sportscaster. Sage Steele.
Yeah. She was last year. Yeah.
That was huge.
Yeah, that was cool. She was great. So grateful.
She's an Indiana grad, so that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and Carmel.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but
yeah, lots of cool speakers at that. Okay, so tell us then, Before we talk about 1001 City, tell us about your experience with running, Casey.
Yeah, I grew up a ball player. You know, I was the youngest and just a naturally very competitive person. The fact that we're sitting right now is probably all the sitting I will do this week.
Do you want to stand up and do the interview?
I might start pacing in a little bit and not know it. So I apologize in advance. But yeah, so ball player growing up, and then
basketball,
baseball. Baseball was really the passion. And then I went to Indiana University undergrad, and then once I graduated, there's no more teams to make, So my brother, who is a cyclist, so he rode at IU.
Okay,
he was
like little five.
Yeah, little 500 rider. He gave me a bike, and so I was like 22, 23, and within a year or two, I was doing Ironmans and just like going down that scene, and then a few years ago transitioned to another level of crazy, which was just kind of the long distance running scene, and haven't left it, and huge part of me and huge part of my life. So
did you decide Ironmans weren't going to happen anymore once you had a baby, because it takes like 1 million hours a week to train for Ironmans?
Yeah, and in hindsight, I think it's a good reflection to probably say that was the case.
Yeah.
And I think of the 3 disciplines of Ironman, I just loved the running.
Yeah.
And I was probably my best segment. And then love the outdoors, love to travel, and with ultras, you do get a little bit of that. So, but it probably naturally fits into the schedule a little bit better too.
Yeah, the biking is just, you have to go get on your bike for like 6 hours on a Saturday.
Yeah, to
truly train.
Yeah. Well, and then you like swimming in Indiana.
Yeah,
like you gotta.
You're gonna go to the Y. And
you gotta go jump in the pool.
Swim like 80 laps.
Yeah, pretty much.
My husband did 1 Ironman.
Okay.
So I got to see it one time.
Which one did he do?
He did Madison.
Hey, I did Madison.
Did you do Madison? What year did you do it?
I think it was 2014.
Okay, he did 2012.
Okay.
I know our son was 10 weeks old when he did it, so I know exactly the year he did it, 2012. And when he did that, it was like he had already signed up before. You sign up like a year in advance, so like we didn't even know we were going to have a baby. And so, but really, once you get like 8 weeks out of training, you're like, you've already put so much work in, you might as well just go do it.
Yeah. But
it's funny because I remember when he finished his race, I was so tired because I didn't sleep all night the night before because of a baby newborn, but also like I was so anxious about not sleeping that I didn't sleep, and then the race. And after his Ironman, we were like 1.5 miles from the car, and I was like, or it was like 4 miles. I was like, can you go get it? Can you go get the car? So he went and got the car, and I sat with I was like so delirious and tired. And
the real Ironman.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Go ride extra.
No question. The supporting cast of these athletes, and I mean, I've witnessed it. And
it's a long day spectating.
You just said a great story. It's like, I mean, just the fact that the people in your life who are supporting your racing and your training, they also aren't sleeping.
Yeah.
The night before, and they're not even, but they care that much about it. And I think that's a huge part of the scene that like doesn't get recognized enough, So. And
spectating a marathon is a long day, but spectating an Ironman, it's a real long day.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Not to jump too far ahead.
Go ahead.
So last year I did Leadville.
Okay.
And
Did you finish?
I finished. Yeah. The coordination amongst the support crew and my family and all that stuff, where and we had a deal. It was like, Casey, you shouldn't be paying attention to what we're worrying about. And now that I think about like all the stuff that they were going through, it was remarkable.
Did your son come?
He did. It was on his first birthday.
Oh, that's a lot to bring a baby out there too.
Oh yeah.
Did you do you feel like training for Leadville time wise was less than training for an Ironman?
That's a good question. Probably. My year leading up to it was also year one of baby one.
Yeah.
So it was percentage wise, I had done 100-miler the year before, and I probably trained 70% what I had trained the year before. And
Okay, you just didn't do as much training.
so I backed off.
But you're of altitude. Was your one the year before altitude?
No, it was over in Ohio.
Yeah, so that's much different.
I was totally rolling the dice. And
Yeah. Did the altitude make you sick at all at Leadville?
yeah. I had a low moment.
Undetermined, yeah.
I had a low moment, and I would probably just chalk it up to altitude was probably a factor. So
What mile was your low moment?
44 going up Hope Pass.
Oh, that's early for a low moment in 100.
Found myself in the woods about 20 yards off trail, and just some guy was like, "Hey, buddy, are you okay?" I'll never forget it. Like, "Hey, buddy, are you okay?" And I came to. I had half a Lar bar in my mouth. And I was just sitting on the ground. My hiking poles were sprawled out everywhere. It was like a garage sale on the side of a mountain, and we got through it though.
So, but how'd you get back on track? That's so early to be feeling lost and everything in 100 miles.
So from mile 50, so Winfield, mile 50, through the end of the race, I came into every checkpoint, I think, within 10 to 15 minutes of cutoff.
Okay.
So it was like...
Which that's a big deal.
The pressure was on.
Yeah.
And a lot of things came together for me to finish that. And when you're in that space, that was an ugly scene for a while. So...
Yeah, the percentage of finishers at Leadville isn't super high, is it?
I don't think so.
No. He'll be humble here. It's 800 or 900 entrants and under 100 finish.
I know. I'm like, do we need to look this up? It's not.
Don't quote me on any of those numbers, but it's pretty low.
I think it's around the 50% mark or something.
Because you have to get to the turnaround, the halfway point at a certain time, and you'll just be. But do they do it every quarter? The cutoffs.
Yeah, the cutoffs are every aid station. Every aid station.
Oh, you have to make it to the
cutoff.
Okay, yeah.
So they give you, I think it's 14 hours on the way out.
Okay.
16 on the way back.
Okay.
And I finished with 11 minutes to spare.
11 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and I carried my 1-year-old across the finish line, and for about 20 minutes said, "I'll never do this again." Of course, that wears off quickly.
You've already signed up.
Yeah, I attempt to.
Lottery.
The lottery.
Year,
yeah. So.
Because Leadville, and that was your first Leadville.
That was first Leadville. We were going to go do Silver
50.
Rush 50.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all deferred to next year.
Okay.
Least, so.
Okay, so clearly you have a love for running for a long time. Trevor, you started running once you met Casey?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tell us about 1001 City. You mentioned it. You guys kind of started it after the pandemic had kind of begun and the riots were happening, and we have this awakening in our country with Black Lives Matter and so many different things happening. So where did the idea come from, and what is 1001 City?
It was the intersection of a lot of those things that made Casey call me on Sunday, the last day in May, and I'll let you take over here in a second, but it was too many things intersecting with our love for the challenges we no longer had in 2020 because of all of the kind of races and things canceled. So it was a mix of a bunch of loves converging, and to quote you, it's like there are too many things aligning here for this not to happen.
Very well said. And so first and foremost, 1001 City was a project we did where we ran 100 days straight through the neighborhoods and the communities of Indianapolis, and we ran 10 miles a day. So it equated to 1,000 miles. And the idea came to me on a run, of course, where at the time I was very charged up about what was going on in the world and needed to figure out a way to act upon it. I think we were all trying to find some way to address what was going on. And, I love running. I love this community, and I love meeting people. I just thrive on meeting new people wherever I go. So that's kind of where the inspiration of the project came about, to say this community needs connected right now, kind of more than ever. It felt almost shattered at the time. Especially when you're just, I'm watching it unfold on my phone and I'm saying, I got to get out there. So the idea comes, and, Trevor's one of my absolute best friends, and he's also extremely sound in terms of operational thinking and execution, where I'm kind of the dreamer and the visionary. And, I came home from that run that day and I told my wife about it. And one of the first things she said to me was like, have you talked to Trevor? Hey, Danica, that's a great idea. So yeah, so I call him immediately, and I asked him to support it, and I was like, Trevor, I want you along for this journey as much as you want, but I'm not asking for you to just blindly commit. And the guy just steps up to the plate and he's like, I'm all in. I will help in any way I can. And it was beautiful.
I said I was all in with an asterisk, that I would help with the planning, the logistics, the maps, the things that I knew I was good at. And I said something to the effect of, I think I'll try to run a few days a week with you, and maybe I'll bike some of the other miles. The goal at the beginning was to make sure he wasn't alone running through streets of Indianapolis he didn't know.
Did you do the 10 miles?
That lasted for about 4 days.
Yeah.
And then I started catching up on mileage, and I did all 1,000.
Yeah. So
with no injuries.
No injuries. I have a little naggy running on the left side of the road knee problem right now, but it's good enough to run. You run 1,000 miles, you realize you're running lopsided for over 600 of them on the left side of streets. So.
Yeah. I mean, there was a storytelling component to this whole thing that we wanted to do. So it was like, this wasn't just for us.
Right.
It was like we said, if we're going to do this, the way we want to do this is for other people to come along in the journey. So, digitally, through storytelling, through photos, and then also through kind of random acts of kindness that we'll get into. And then we had a large running community join us throughout it. So, we had 50 some odd people over the course of the 100 days join us, some for weeks of it and some, a handful of times.
So it's 100 days straight.
100 days
Correct.
straight. Yeah.
And a few inspirations for this to bring and do it in our own way in Indianapolis. We were a bit inspired by Ricky Gates's Every Single Street in San Francisco, where he ran every single street in San Francisco, which the mileage equated to 1,300.
No, 3,200, I thought.
I think he ended up at 1,500 or 1,600 miles in 35 days, but the square mileage in San Francisco was what's more condensed than Indianapolis. So the square mileage was 30-something hundred.
I was curious though, when you do that, I was thinking about it because I'm a pretty social person, and I always walk, I say hi to, everybody when I see them. I'm running on the Monon and I don't know someone, and I just say hi because, we're passing each other.
Because we're in Indiana.
That's right. But my husband doesn't do that. And he's like, we say hi to everybody, But was it awkward to be like, hey, can we hear your story and get a picture?
Yeah, and that's another question that it comes up all the time. And Trevor has said this a few times really well. So maybe you talk about it, but it was never, we set out to run 10 miles a day, and whatever happened. So we didn't meet someone.
Whoever you run into, run into.
There were days we didn't meet anybody.
Yeah.
And you still have to tell a story from that day.
Yeah.
But of the folks we met, it was always very serendipitous. It was very organic, and it was like you'd be talking to anyone. And there were countless people we met where their stories didn't get shared. But it was the instances where folks would really question what we're out doing right now. And there was even a handful of times where people, this was the crazy stuff, where, hey, were you the guys on TV? Are you guys the ones running around all this? We had a handful of those, which was really interesting. But it was just always very organic. Someone out on their lawn and you just compliment how their yard looks, or the simple, what are you doing? A lot of people would ask us hey, how far are you running?
Yeah.
That's
common.
That was the most common question.
Yeah. Or, why are you guys out here pouring sweat in 95 degrees at 1 p.m. in the middle of a work day? And do you need some water, or you want to borrow my shade? We got a couple of those, which was really appreciated.
Oh my goodness. So the overall big picture is connecting the community.
Yeah. So that when we set out on this, like day one, if you would ask us like, what's the purpose and the mission of this? I'm not sure we would have had it.
Mm-hmm.
It was literally, let's just start moving. We had this kind of mantra, which was like improve 1% every day of this, whether that was in the capture of it, the storytelling piece of it, whether it was in the logistics of planning it or getting more people involved. It just continuously evolved. So in the beginning, it was very much, let's connect this city together and let's meet people and tell the stories through it. There's some underlying themes, though, of what's happening in the world at that time, too, that come out through that. So a lot of people talked about their struggles with the pandemic or struggles mentally through all this, like in the changes that are happening in their own personal lives because of it. We connected with a lot of people about the racial and social injustices that are happening and kind of coming to light, and had some really productive conversations with those people because it was a space for us to explore that where else we might not have it. And super grateful that running took us to that space to learn more and share more.
Yeah, I felt like when the pandemic started, like I was personally constantly looking for a purpose. And so I started like overproducing podcasts because I was like, like where do I go from here? You know, like I lost my sense of purpose because I couldn't do things like this, like what we're doing right now. People like my husband, like his work carried on and everything looked pretty much the same. I mean, he came and worked from home, but so it didn't look the same, but his work kind of stayed consistent. Whereas I felt like I wasn't traveling anymore. I wasn't going to events. And so I felt like, okay, what's my purpose? I'll just keep doing extra podcasts so people have more stuff to listen to, right? So it sounds like you were fulfilling some sort of purpose that you were desiring when all this happened, because I feel like we all lost some sense of purpose with the pandemic, right?
Yeah, I think you said that really, really well. And, I'd be curious, like, when did you realize that was happening?
I think I realized it pretty soon because I felt like there was this hole, and then my kids were all home all the time, and I was just like, I don't want to do this all the time. And I really didn't have the time to produce more episodes, but it made me happy. So that, like, recording podcasts makes me happy. So that's what I felt like I should do. And maybe that was sort of a selfish endeavor, but also at the same time, I wanted to give more for my listeners to hear. And not that it was anything like groundbreaking or, I started doing these like light Friday fun episodes to lighten the mood a little bit. Right.
Yeah. Well, and I think also, like you said, like our routines were just thrown out the window in a lot of cases. And you touched on it. Like, you want to play to your strengths, and something felt off about that. And you're like, how do I get that back? How do I amplify it even more? Because we're also seeing so many people in need. And when you think about your strengths and how they typically help people, I got to do more of it. and you feel compelled to do that. So I think for us, it was very much, we saw this, and whether we felt, kind of called to do it or called to act, but it was like, we have an opportunity to use our strengths or try out our strengths in a new way to potentially help people. And like you said, when you grab onto that, it's like, I got to go full gas on this and make more episodes or go run more miles or go places I've never run before and bring people along.
I think it was just the willingness to do it too. So like, it's not going to look the same for everyone, but for us, we had the bandwidth and we had the willingness and just to put ourselves in the new neighborhood. So like, it's going to be easiest to have an authentic conversation with someone when you're on their comfortable turf, right? You talked about your dog defending the house in a way, like how dogs do that, right? But then once you enter their house politely, they like tend to warm up to you a bit. So we kind of felt that way, like stepping near someone's porch or their lawn or their neighborhood where they were walking. And it felt like they felt comfortable sharing their hearts with us really quickly in some cases. So we had people, sharing their life stories or kind of like opening up their hearts about things they were struggling with, or even crying with us in the first 3 or 4 minutes of us just talking to them, because we kind of showed up for them where they are. And that was something that we were purposeful of. That's why we just wanted to get started and go to new neighborhoods, knowing that like our normal day-to-day lives wouldn't have put us in touch with people like that. Like my life, like kind of living in the middle of town, right, doesn't look as diverse or doesn't look as it doesn't look like it did when we were showing up in new neighborhoods every day to run in.
Did you run into any scary dogs? Because that is my biggest fear when I run.
Just a few, thankfully.
I mean,
we met a few.
And as a female running by myself, I am way less scared of people like getting attacked even than dogs. Dogs terrify me.
I'm having flashbacks right now to just a couple experiences where...
And I'm a dog lover.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so...
We called it the dog days of summer.
Yeah.
Because it was really hot and we were running through these neighborhoods with just... Every yard had a dog. Like...
And you never know if like the chain's going to break
or
like...
Yeah, we would see people... We would see... Well...
These are like...
Actually, on that topic...
2 floss chains the dogs are, tied up to in their
We'd
front
see
yard.
those dogs take off on a full-line sprint.
And then they get jerked
boom,
back.
Yanked back. Casey would always say, watch this.
Yeah, I would try to anticipate it. But we saw people carrying around clubs. And by the end of the project, we knew we could go to those people and say, hey, any dogs to watch around here? Because
they're carrying the clubs because of the dogs.
Yeah, some kind of stick or like defensive item. Like there was a super sad story, but a good story of Phil, right? Okay. In a neighborhood like nearish 42nd and Wendell area, like way over like towards the IMA. West of Newfields area. And he was walking. This was like 7 a.m. probably. It was like his morning walk. And we noticed he was wearing a marathon shirt. And Casey's really good at asking these pointed questions. That he said, ask questions that warrant good responses. Give someone a reason that they need to respond to you. So he asked, because he was kind of hobbling with this cane, and he said, "Are you recovering from an injury?" And Phil kind of opened up and said, "Yes, actually, like I can't run anymore because I got attacked by a dog, and so I carry this out of defense now." But also, he just was like super inspired by us and. Us caring to ask about his condition and the fact that we were out running kind of like, I think remotivated him in a way to like keep going, to keep walking, to like, to try and just stay active and stay on it.
We told him we'd run the rest of that day's miles for him, and he just like melted, which was, memorable moment, no doubt.
That's so cool. I'm always looking for like a car to jump on. In case a dog comes running, like I'm always like, where can I jump, or is there a tree I can climb, or, I hate that I hate to feel that way, but I mean, dogs are animals.
You have to keep your head on a swivel for traffic, for dogs. Like thankfully, Casey stuck his arm out in front of me 1 or 2 times, and I can probably say thank you for that. I know I can for me sitting here today. So, just a friendly reminder to. Be alert even at 6 a.m.
Oh, yeah. So what's the like long-term, I know, and we'll talk about New Shoe Day, but like what's the long-term vision for 1001 City? You set out your mission. You've done it. Now, what now?
Yeah, I think that's a great transition to New Shoe Day, if that's okay. So 30 days into the 1001 City journey, we decided, hey, we're out meeting these people. Like we're out, Did I just see a bird?
In the house? No, you didn't.
I heard something.
Did you?
I really think I did. Yeah. See it?
Where?
All right, so we got a bird in the house.
Oh my God,
All
where
right,
is
one
it?
second.
Glenn.
Yeah.
Glenn.
We got a kitchen bird and
yeah,
some
we
alley
got
dogs.
a kitchen bird. So Casey's gonna go after this real fast. Okay.
Glenn, there's a bird in the house.
Just a little bird.
Is the door even open? I don't know. Oh.
Easily distracted
And
Casey. It's like, wait, the hell is that?
Is it a bat? Oh my gosh.
Okay.
All right, we're back.
We're back.
The bird's out.
Everyone survived.
If anybody follows me on Instagram, though, they're probably like, why do you always have birds in your house?
Yeah.
Because I've...
We should have captured that.
Yeah, that was quite... Well, remember, I'm having separation anxiety because I can't find my phone.
Oh, yeah. True.
Oh, my gosh. Where were we?
Okay.
We're introducing New Shoe Day.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Day 30.
about day 30.
34, 33.
Yeah, about day 30, we said, hey, while we're out doing this and meeting people where they're at, is there any way we can amplify this a little bit more in terms of making their day, but then also connecting this project with maybe even a further mission of it? So the background of it, and many of the listeners will understand this, that when we get a new pair of shoes as runners, and you can actually relate that to so many stages of life, whether you're a kid going to school or starting a health and fitness journey, or first day on the job, even getting a new pair of shoes is a really good feeling for most people. And so we would always kind of celebrate when we'd get new running shoes, and we'd call it New Shoe Day.
Oh yeah.
So
you rip it open from the postman, you throw them, you kind of let them fly everywhere, and you send it to all your friends.
Yeah.
That's what New
Day.
Shoe Day looks like for us, and generally just a ton of energy and excitement on the first day you lace them up.
Yeah, and it's a joke in that manner, and it's also serious because we would joke hey, you ran really well today, and you'd be like, well, I got new kicks on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's this feeling associated with new shoes. It's hey, it's an opportunity to improve yourself, makes you feel more confident, more vibrant, look good, play good, kind of that mentality. And we said, okay, so we're out running. We're running on one side of the street where we are seeing and witnessing firsthand a level of opportunity and really equity in our communities. It's vibrant. Things are clean. You can tell the schools are nice. There's jobs everywhere. The houses are nice. And then we would, on our runs, we'd cross the street and it's a different story. And we noticed this enough that very quickly we felt pretty charged up about it to say that doesn't feel right. And it's, at the time it was timely with what's going on and how we're learning what's going on in the world and all the inequities that we're facing in our communities. So we said, hey, if we have the equity to give ourselves a New Shoe Day wherever we go, or whenever we want almost, let's give that to other people. And so along the journey, we would give folks a New Shoe Day as a symbolic way to give them the same opportunity to improve themselves, because they deserved it, not because they were systematically held back from something like that. So maybe Trevor explains exactly what we would give out, for a New Shoe Day.
Yeah. For most people, and this evolved kind of through the course of it, but a New Shoe Day started with a water bottle and a sticker with a gift card or some cash in it that was kind of reserved for getting a new pair of shoes. But we weren't blind to the fact that that's not what everyone needed on a random Tuesday morning or a Thursday afternoon. That kind of, depending on where you met someone, they could need gas money or food for their family for the week, or they were starting a new job. So that, we had a little bit of everything, and that was the beauty of it, is the diversity of people that we met, and just in terms of what they were going through. So I think it was appreciated in every sense, and you kind of never knew how you were going to show up for someone that day. We had some that I'm sure appreciated it, and some that didn't need it, that almost pushed it off and said, no, I don't need this. And we kind of almost forced it on them and said, hey, can you give this to someone else you know is in need? Yeah, kind of to spread the love. And that was what was in some of the messaging in the note that we left in the bottle anyways. That was, this is what this is about. This is about a fresh start. We'd love for you to pass it on. If you need this, use it. If you don't, pass it on to someone else who you know is in need, or someone that you don't know, and kind of just do that random act of kindness in your own way. And so through those early days, and then through the middle of the 100 days, we started raising money and kind of pooling money from friends, family, other people who heard about it. And so we could start kind of amplifying the amount of New Shoe Days that we gave out. And so it eventually kind of took that form. And the goal was, of course, every day to give one out. But like Casey said earlier, on some days we didn't always run into someone. It could have been raining and early, or it could have been hot in the middle of the day. But we looked for an opportunity to give those out every chance we could.
Yeah, and on the raising money front too, so we did a GoFundMe.
Yeah,
with
I saw.
which was fun. And at the end of the project, we ended up giving a larger gift. So I think we raised it was like $8,000 total.
Pretty high.
And then so we had, I don't know, it was like $4,500 left to give away at the end of the project. So our culminating gift was it was a new shoe day at more of an organizational level. So Beyond Monumental does the marathon here, and they have this program called the Monumental Kids Movement. So they create a structure and programs for kids within school systems to kind of opt into health and wellness, and then also be able to run races to celebrate their involvement. So we propped them up, with a gift. We gave the organization
that's awesome
their own new shoe day, and I think that ties back to your original question. So, the spirit of New Shoe Day was to not only give the individual that equity or that opportunity, but then also there's these organizations out there that are advocating and educating and giving awareness to the same problems that we're talking about. And so they can get their own New Shoe Day as well. And really, since this project ended in September, that's what we've been doing. So it's planning around launching New Shoe Day in and of itself that will be, an organization addressing these inequities in the form of a New Shoe Day. So both for the individual and then also for perhaps an organization as well that individual is involved in. So stay tuned for more on that, I guess.
Yeah, I was going to say, are you guys filing for a 501c3 or?
We will be. Yeah. So I basically looking at a Jan 1, kind of that'd be day one of it. So all the kind of the conversations and the planning to go into that and start it and launch it are happening right now, which is pretty exciting.
So do you foresee still carrying on the mission of connecting the city, will it be still a yearly thing where you cover the neighborhoods every summer or what?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the running 1,000 miles or 10 miles every day is not a scalable approach, but I think the storytelling component is, so, we've got ideas to have a run club kind of associated with this. So you got some swag today and that'd be a simple piece of it, right? So if we have a New Shoe Day run club out there, then they could almost be acting in a similar way to how it originated, out running in our communities, spreading the message of New Shoe Day along the way, and connecting our communities as well.
Yeah, one of the challenges we initially wanted to pose to the people who heard about it and even the people who joined us was that it's relatively unrealistic to do 1,000 miles in 100 days. Even again now, especially as he brings on a second child, and just the pandemic was almost a perfect time to do it because you weren't spending a couple hours commuting to work or doing some of the things that you would have naturally done that take up your time. So we could reallocate those in the early months of the pandemic where we were kind of finding a little more free time to go do the running. But all of that aside, our challenges to individuals who heard about it was to just go out and do this in your own way. So walk a different route after work today. Go on a jog in a place you wouldn't have normally gone on a jog in, to the extent that you feel safe, with people around you. Also, go find some of these hidden gems that a lot of people don't know about in Indianapolis.
There's so many, yeah.
That was one of my favorite parts. The people are one thing, and that's kind of what makes our city what we love, and we all know that. That's Allison Millington said it a ton of times as part of the reason the Super Bowl was such a success here, a part of the reason why so many people love to call it home, but also the different parts of nature that people don't know exist. We have a state park and we have a city park within 15 minutes of the middle of the city. We have
that's pretty crazy.
It's nuts that I'm sure people know or don't know that there are trails here, that you can certainly train for long races, that there are exhibits, pieces of art, local city parks to little neighborhoods kind of hidden that you wouldn't normally see, places with exceptional views of this kind of small skyline what we have here, but it's just beautiful. Some of the things we stumbled across. And there's so many city parks. I don't know. We tried to count, and I have a hard time finding an exhaustive list of Indianapolis city parks, but we are going to want to compile it at some point. I mean, there are just so many.
Yeah, we drive over to Crown Hill all the time. Like, actually, that's our like decompress spot, and we just drive over there. And we drive up to the top and let the boys get out and run around and just sit there for like 20 minutes. We do that like every other week, probably.
You're in an awesome part of the city.
Yeah.
I mean, this is such a unique part of the city. So
I feel really lucky. When we bought this house, we did not know what this neighborhood was like. We wanted to stay near downtown, near Broad Ripple, and we wanted a little bit more space because we were in a pretty small bungalow, like 2-bedroom, 1 bath. And so I found this house, and we didn't know anything about the school across the street. I just knew it was an IPS school. Like, I didn't know anything about the neighborhood, but we feel really lucky that because we thought, we'll buy this house, we'll live here. Maybe we'll live here for 5 years. Maybe we'll live here for 20. And now we've been here almost 7 years, and we love it.
Yeah. Daily, we would run around and just like admire the houses.
The old historic homes.
Yeah. And
like Irvington.
Yeah.
And the setup. Like, I mean, I've got a young family, and you're proving the point here that it's like, this is a great community to do much more than run in, you know?
Yeah.
And, it's cool to be here and see it, so well done.
Yeah, we love it. We didn't know a soul that lived in this neighborhood, and now I feel like I'm more of a social butterfly than my husband, Glenn. He's pretty, he's kind of hermity a little bit. He would roll his eyes at me for saying that, but it's true. But my main friend base is like all the women in the neighborhood that I've met. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay. So that's awesome. Yeah. I can't tell you how many people have messaged me and they're like, oh, have you seen what these guys are doing? And I already knew what you were doing because I had talked to you on Instagram, Casey, but it's cool to hear the story face to face and exciting to see what you guys are going to do with it.
Well, thanks for having us, first of all. And yeah, I mean, when we set out on this, it was always kind of how do we spread this a little bit? But in a, like a sincere way, besides just running the storytelling.
You don't want to be like, hey, look what we're doing.
Yeah. For all we cared about, it would have been like, if Trevor and I just did this, it still would have been a success. And, but being a little over a month out now and sitting here with you, I mean, this is kind of a validating moment, I would say, to be here with you, Trevor, co-captain, crew chief on this thing. And then, I mean, we're on a pretty cool platform here right now with what you've done. So, like I told you before, we were a little starstruck.
Gosh.
Heading into this. So,
well, I think it's so cool because I feel like we can run around our lives and have these like big ideas or like, when you said you thought of it when you were out for a run, that's when I think of all of my good ideas is when I'm out for a run. And then you get home and you have all the things you have to do. And then you're like, okay. And you think about it again on your next run, but to actually then go act on those dreams that you have while you run. I don't know what percentage of people that then go act on the dreams because we do a lot of dreaming when we run. So it's cool that you actually were like, this could be something.
I'm just marveling in that quote. That's, phenomenal. I think not everyone's the same in that, like you two dream while you run. I kind of turn my brain off. So I think people find their sanctuary, whatever it is personally. For some, that's running. For some, it may be, having coffee on their porch. For some, it may be just like quiet time in the morning. But I think that's kind of an important element of self-discovery is figuring out where you find your clarity and where you can kind of silence everything else and come to kind of unite with those dreams you have. And then what Casey's so good about with kind of reckless abandon is acting on that dream. Like once he gets jazzed about it, and especially if he thought of it on a run, you're going to hear about it for a few days. And so that was me saying, just being his yes man, like, yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, let's just get started. That this is too important to not get started. And I see the energy you have for this. So I think like a lot of it's just listen to your gut and the things that give you energy. Like you said earlier, pour more into those and bring the people around you that will help kind of refine that into what it needs to be.
I love that. Yeah, I know, because it's easy. And also I feel like as a dreamer, because I'm a dreamer, married to someone who's not a dreamer, married to a realist, very logical.
That's probably what he would call me. I gave him like about 20% of what he wanted to hear from me on the
Right.
phone that day.
And you're like, but
I was
wait.
like, yeah, man, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Probably with a little bit of like lackluster tone in my voice.
Uh-huh. I was like, wait, what do you mean we can't move to Hawaii for 3 months? Why is that irresponsible?
What don't they see in this, you know?
Yeah.
Glenn and Danica need to hang out.
Yeah, there we go.
But then they'd be like, oh crap. Like that
Slow
means
them
Lindsay,
down.
in case you're on a run
Yeah.
and the world is about to blow up. So I think the lesson in all this is just, you got to find your Trevor,
Yeah.
you know, so once you have that, it's scary from there.
Yeah, that's good. All right. Well, we always wrap up with some end of the podcast questions. What is one thing professionally or personally that you'd like to do that you have not done yet?
I'll start because I thought of this last week. I was over-caffeinated and listening to electronic music like I often find myself doing in the mid-morning. Right as I kind of hit my flow, as some people call it, work-wise. And so I just started spouting off all these ideas that turned into one big one to Casey. And I said, I want to start a co-working space that has guest DJs to DJ like the morning. So this is like not if you need to be on meetings or calls, but if you're in like a personal productive state. So guest DJs, maybe different genres, and think of it as like a silent disco where like everyone can tune into a different station watching someone DJ from up top. And then you have like various health and wellness things there as well. So like you have hot and cold baths. You have you blend like fitness, health and wellness, and work like all in one place. Like a community of place, like a sauna,
treadmill,
maybe like a place to run or work out. Yeah, and so unlimited coffee, big caffeine guy, maybe some other treats that we would like to see around there. But I was essentially just like thinking of all the things I enjoy doing. It's like being with friends, brainstorming good ideas, a lot of caffeine, good music, all different genres, right? Like it could be themed.
You're going to run into a problem there because what if
this is me being dreamer for a second.
Well, I had a sorry, go on.
Well, my thought was like it's got to be a neutral music though, because you know what I mean. Like
that's why I think I should go the silent disco route, where like each person gets their own premium headphones.
Perfect.
And like, let's say we have 5 or 6. I'd love to be a place where like upcoming artists could share their thing too.
Yeah.
I'm not big into like the indie scene, but I'm slowly getting more into that kind of stuff. And it would be cool if you could have someone come in and kind of stream their stuff, right? And like you could choose to tune into the station you want. So more of like a live version of like a lot of the things we all tune into from our computers at home.
Yeah.
But I was just blending all the things I enjoy together and saying, why can't, and we're all working at home anyways, why can't we just buy a warehouse space and turn it into something fun?
I just like threw my dreams on you. I was like treadmill, sauna.
I love those things too.
Tank, ice.
We built
therapy.
the cold plunge, but like what you need right after you buy a cold plunge is a sauna, because then you're cold.
Yeah.
So slippery slope.
I know. Okay, so that's professionally or personally for Trevor. What about you, Casey?
I want to go to space.
Really?
Absolutely.
It doesn't scare you?
Yeah, it scares me. Yeah, it'd be terrifying. But yeah, I want to go to space. And I think that opportunity will come up, I think, in our lifetime, right?
Really? You think so? Well, you know, episode 1 of my parenting podcast is with Emily Calandrelli. She's a scientist. And she was talking about how like very few people are selected to go to space.
Well, I just got to figure out like how do I get my
Get
name in the ring
astronauts?
for that?
Yeah.
And what do I got to do? Point of contention on the home front, though. You know, I want to go to space. Danica's like,
I want you to be alive.
Yeah. So we're working on it.
Not that you're going
I've
to
got
die
time.
if you
I'm
go to
starting
space.
early, you know?
Yeah.
And then, professionally, launch new shoe day and take it all over the world, you know?
All over the world. So
absolutely.
Like short-term vision, though, like, are you thinking, let's get a couple cities to buy into this or what?
Yeah, I think short-term, it's cultivate and build it in Indy, you know, like with the key constituents of like, you know, our business is here, our brand's here, you know, sports teams here, and then the areas of need in our own community, and kind of prove that concept, and you take that and absolutely leverage it elsewhere. And And, like strategically, it's not every part. It's not the whole thing of it. Running is not like the entire piece of it.
Yeah.
But it would be a really cool, kind of thread of it that I have a passion for that can kind of have its own story throughout it all. So.
That's cool. Question on the new shoe day thing, the like kind of random acts of kindness piece. I'm curious. How do you guys feel about the Starbucks pay it forward line? I have strong opinions.
I'm not too familiar with that concept for Starbucks specifically, but I remember a news article I saw one day. This place in New York was pay it forward pizza slices where no one actually paid. Everyone paid if they could to the pizza before it. I think they've since gone out of business. Maybe either it was bad business or it was a little more like I'm sure the pandemic would have caused that to be a problem.
Sure.
But I always think concepts like that are cool where you can put some sort of social cause and kind of like disrupt capitalism in a way. I'm for capitalism with a purpose, but like Panera Cares is another one where like they take all of their bread and their communities that they like don't sell and they like redistribute it out.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
like,
I've used their bread when I used to work for nonprofits. Yeah.
Yeah. All those are like, I think, good intentioned ideas.
Well, the pay it forward line is like when you're in the drive-thru and the cashier's like, oh, the person in front of you bought your coffee. And then they say like, would you like to buy the car behind you? And
they look at you and they're like,
well, what do you, like, I was supposed to just like get this treat and now you're telling me I have to buy for
you feel bad about it.
And what if the person behind you is like $15 and
it's
you
like
were
a
$5?
minivan of like frappuccinos, $76.
I mean, if I'm in Starbucks line with my kids, they're all getting freaking butter croissants and I'm getting a latte. Glenn's
Could I
getting
pay
a
forward a
nitro.
pup cup? That's the only one I'm
Right,
willing to pay
like,
forward.
I don't know who's behind me. Are they getting their whole office coffees? I mean, like some days it might be fine, but some days like I'm like, I just want to spend $5.
Yeah.
And actually, I've had it happen where the person before me paid it forward, and the cashier did not say, the barista did not say, like, would you like to buy behind you? But I've had it happen also where they're like, would you like to do the same for the car behind you? And I'm like, you're forcing pay it forward, pay it back on me.
Yeah, that's a rule that can't be broken. I feel like it.
You got to keep going.
Well, no, you can't ask it. Like
Okay.
Yeah, they can't.
Agreed.
I hope.
And then you feel like an
There's this
a-hole
guilt
for
trip.
not
Yeah.
doing
And
it.
it's like I wanted to roll through this line.
You're like, just let me have my
I think it's the
moment.
goodness of your own heart that would turn you to then pay it forward without being asked, right?
Yeah.
That's how
I don't
feel.
want to be forced to pay it forward.
There you go.
I want to just go do nice
You
things
heard
for
it here
people.
first. Yep.
Yeah. I would rather actually just mail someone a Starbucks gift card, or like, go give my neighbor one. I don't want to be forced to buy the
This
car
is a
behind
funny
me.
time to tell you in your little note we left you as a Starbucks gift.
Well, I love
Open it up.
Starbucks. I get
And don't
coffee.
pay it
I hope she
forward.
likes it. If not, she'll pay it forward.
Do you want me to give this? Is there like
Don't pay it forward. No, it's
am
for
I
you.
supposed to give this to somebody?
No, it's for you.
I do have a coffee obsession. I do Starbucks and I do local Hubbards and Cravens, but we just got like a fancy pour over thing.
Nice.
I bought my husband a $16 pour over carafe thing, and he's like, oh, thank you. That he loves coffee, and then he starts researching it more, and he's like, I need like $200 worth of stuff to make this like legit. You know that, right?
You
like,
need like custom
I need
filters, and you need.
I need to weigh my beans.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you have to do all that? And he's like, well, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do
going
it
all
right.
out. That's why I haven't bought a pour over yet.
I didn't realize.
It's so stressful.
I didn't realize there were going to be all these bells and whistles. I just thought I could boil some water
It's a
and,
nice gesture.
pour it over. But now I have $200.
Now you better
worth of-
pay it forward with a bunch of custom filters.
And the other point was so that we didn't, because now we're working from home. And a lot of times at like 1, 2 p.m., I get the itch to leave. And what do? I
buy
go
a
spend
coffee,
$4 on a latte. And so I thought, well, if we make it fancy here, then we won't be going to Starbucks all the
But
time.
sometimes you got to get out. Like yesterday.
That's the point.
Yesterday
yeah.
I drove to REI at noon and
Just to
spent
leave.
$120.
Yeah.
So I should have gone on a coffee trip.
That's
like I imagined.
would have been more affordable. But yeah, so I'm excited about that Starbucks gift card. I'll use it tomorrow. Okay, what's an accomplishment you're most proud of?
My family at this point. Yeah. So I got a 2-year-old, super fun time, and really grateful and blessed to like every day just be amped about that. So, that's easily it for me right now, no doubt. Secondary to that would be running 1,000 miles in Indy, but I think the family takes the cake.
I'll piggyback. And I hope this doesn't come off as an accomplishment, Carolyn, but I recently started dating the love of my life, who I had been, we'll call it, courting for like 5 years. And so I got out of the friend zone somehow. So I view that as an extreme accomplishment. She lives in Denver. Looking forward to being out there next week. And I don't know. That one's recent on my mind as something I never thought I'd do.
Dang, man.
And then only second comes running 1,000 miles in 100 days. So, yeah.
It's a big proclamation.
Whoa.
Hope this podcast doesn't get too many listeners.
Yeah.
Okay, who is someone fun, motivating, or inspiring that you'd like to have coffee, tea, or cocktail with?
Okay, so we met Jesse Itzler. We talked just because it's
Sarah
top of
Blakely's
mind.
husband.
Yeah.
For those who don't know.
We met Sarah Blakely's husband.
Sorry, Jesse.
Yeah, sorry,
And-
Jesse. Jesse's not listening to my podcast. It's okay.
Well, hey, we're gonna
Maybe we'll send it to him
We're
since
gonna
he got
send it. We
so
gave
much-
him a new shoe day.
Okay.
So
He needs that. He needs financial support.
Yeah,
We
his
more or
office
less-
wasn't litted with a ton of fan mail.
yeah, like Hoka's
like
laying
thousands
everywhere. So he said he'd pass it on. But anyways, we had a great time with him, and he's super inspiring. We probably talked about Jesse Itzler 50 of the 100 days we were running,
Really?
which is so funny.
Is that
Like-
cool?
If not just him directly, like concepts of his.
Yeah.
Like mantras we like try to live by as well.
Yeah, something associated with him or whatever. So, just because it's top of mind, like, I'd love to have a cocktail with that guy.
To actually, like, outside of business. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Totally would love to jam with that guy, in a different setting.
He'd probably make us like, guy loves bananas more than everything. So it'd probably be more like who would you like to share a banana with?
Well, I saw that he brought, like, a vegan chef into his house.
Yeah,
I saw
and
Sarah Blakely's
She
Instagram.
looks so cool.
That was wild.
She was like, there's
Sarah eats
Sarah's
chicken nuggets,
hilarious.
and he, is like super concerned with his diet and brought this chef in.
Sarah's hilarious.
Yeah.
I know. Well, and then I went down a rabbit hole and I was like, who's the chef? And it was
Uh-huh.
like some random person.
She, like,
and
Met him like on Instagram, like
Yeah,
just
it
like
was
via
super
chatting
random.
or something, like just absurd the way you can get in touch with people.
yeah, and then he's like, I'm going to hire you. I'd love to know how much he paid her. I'm going to hire you to just like park your van at my like, extremely fancy home and just make me vegan food all the time. Or it was a juicer. She was like a juicer.
I don't even know. I tuned out for those couple weeks because I was like, it sounded so random but so Jesse.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you really think about it, it's like a very extreme thing to do, but like he's providing her employment. So it's not like, yes, it's like a lavish thing for their family to do for their life, but like he's giving someone a job.
He also thinks of things like, let me outsource something I know nothing about.
Yeah.
It's like one of his biggest skills.
Hire
so he's
somebody.
like, I want to learn how to swim. I'm going to go find the like Katie, what's her cut this out. I don't know her name. She's a big deal. But like an
Katie
Olympic
Ledecky? Katie Ledecky?
No,
Olympic swimmer, like
Is
of some sort. But like he's like, let me bring the person who knows most about this to teach me about it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of an interesting concept for learning new things. So
Yeah, they
but
seem
not everyone has the access to do.
well, right. Like he can do that for anything.
Yeah.
They seem though. I think that this is why women like me like Sarah Blakely so much. Like she just seems really. This is so cliche to say, but she just seems really down to earth.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like she just.
This also sounds weird, but so we were in their house, right?
Yeah.
Like, we had this cool opportunity, and their house was, it was like so homey, and
Yeah,
it just,
they
nothing
pay
felt
for someone to
different.
decorate that.
Probably.
Cool.
I'm just kidding. Okay, so what's next? What's the best, most recent book you've read?
Who you want to have to with?
Oh yeah, you got to go.
I don't have a good answer on that one right now.
What about like the
Hmm.
disco artist that you were listening to?
Oh yeah, I know. I'd like to have coffee with the guys from Above and Beyond.
Okay, I
They're-
don't know them.
They're like salt of the earth British electronic group. So like
Okay.
they're DJs that have been like the heart and soul of kind of EDM and trance music since like the early 2000s.
Nice.
So they're like they're well into their like 40s, and they're just like stylish kind of like middle-aged dudes, just they just recently recorded a big like virtual set on the river in London, like this like Viking ship sailing down the river in like 4K on YouTube. If you want to like get jazzed up and just see some old dudes having some fun, it's a lot of fun. So I just love the way that they have like pizzazz for life, and just the energy they bring to like what they love. Their music is something I would like to see in person.
As someone that is 3 years from 40, late 40s is not old.
No, I hope I have the energy they have.
40 just seems like it just seems younger and younger every single day. I'm like, man, it's crazy. So that's your favorite kind of music, electro.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Although I'm much into like, I realize that on like really, really long runs, you can't listen to like super stimulating stuff for 6 hours straight. So I've really appreciated some of the new music that Carolyn's brought in to my life. So we're going to be doing like some long run on Saturday, maybe to some like Lord Huron and some I don't know who that is.
Do you?
Some more like just kind of alternative stuff.
You lose me on the music.
What do you listen to?
Casey listens to what I send him.
Do you listen to like electro music? Or are you not a music guy?
I vary. I'll go music, podcasts, a lot of books.
Yeah.
When I'm running.
Oh, like audiobooks.
Yeah. So, but yeah, if Trevor's like, hey, you got to jam on this, then
I often send trios. I like, you got to listen to these 3 songs in a row when you're having your 3.5 cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I'm very prescriptive.
Ooh, yeah.
Because things, they need to be in the right setting.
Did you notice what was playing when you walked into my house?
No, not the artist, no.
No, absolutely not. I'm not your guy to notice music
I
or
was
remember
David Gray.
lyrics or anything.
It was David Gray, but I feel you on that because I feel like there are like David Gray, Ray LaMontagne, music like that. That's like my evening making dinner music
calm
kind of
stuff,
thing. Yeah.
Do you run to music? Or?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like hip hop.
Okay. Like
Yeah.
90s hip
Yeah.
hop? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Like
There we
Bone
go.
Thugs,
Yeah.
Tupac.
Yeah.
But I also love like Taylor Swift, and it's pop stuff mostly.
Thoughts on the new album?
I love it. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I feel like that was another thing with the pandemic, like Taylor Swift coming out with that album. She was doing what we were doing. Like me overproducing podcasts, you founding 1001 City, like whatever it is anybody was doing, like that's what she was doing.
Yeah.
And
true.
I will always remember anybody that's relatively a fan of hers will always, I feel like, associate that album with what's happening right now.
She's incredible. Do you know Maggie Rogers?
Love Maggie. Thank you for introducing her. Yeah, check her out.
My only music contribution to you.
Yeah, no, tell her what to watch. It's like the Pharrell masterclass.
Pharrell masterclass
Oh,
with
really?
Maggie Rogers, and you'll never look back on
I
Maggie.
have to buy that class, right?
No. It's actually just like a YouTube video. It's like a cut from it. I
Shoot
think
it over
it's
to
a
you.
clip.
Super inspiring.
Really?
Yeah, and then just cool to see an artist in their craft, and then
It's kind of like Jesse hiring the amateur,
Uh-huh.
like vegan chef to come live in his house. It was like Pharrell teaching masterclass,
our
and her
2-year-old is obsessed with Maggie Rogers.
What kind of music does she sing?
It's like folky alternative kind of stuff. Like, yeah, it's just like good music.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the farthest thing from like EDM, so don't get me confused.
Okay. Yeah, because I definitely don't like that kind of stuff at all.
I have a very wide range.
I love like Brandy Carlisle and Shovels and Rope, and like I love kind of folky type stuff. I don't know if you would consider those folky, but okay. So you said you like audiobooks. What's the most recent book you've read or listened to?
I'll make this one quick. Top of mind, I just went through Shoe Dog.
It's a good one.
And Ride of a Lifetime.
I haven't read that.
So Bob Iger, he ran Disney for decades on decades. So super inspiring, like on his leadership. And then another book I just listened to is called Big Potential, which was also super fascinating. A lot of lessons in there about like cumulative potential. So like we all think of the potential we have, but it's just proven in so many concepts in this book that your potential can be just multiplied to the moon through those around you. So it was good. It was great. So
that sounds good.
I am almost all the way through the 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. I woke up at 9 today. So
I was going to
I'm not
ask.
quite a part of the 5 a.m. club, but it's because he hasn't got to the point in the book yet that tells you what to do at 5 a.m. I only know all the theory behind it.
You read.
So it's so good. It's phenomenal. I would say to anyone who is kind of lacking motivation or needs a little bit of a pep talk, like it comes in really clutch in that way. So it's like it takes all the corniness out of like a sentimental pump up that talks about also your potential, how all of the qualities of like the highest achievers in the world, how they get to what they do. And it all starts with in his expression of like waking up at 5 a.m. and dedicating that first hour, oh shoot, I'm gonna forget what it's called already.
I know what you're talking
it's like
about.
the magical hour, he calls it.
Yeah.
That's not the exact quote, but it's that first hour that you do.
Is it the fringe? No, not the fringe hours.
From what I know so far, it's called the 20-20-20 principle, and I know that's 3 breaks of 20 minutes that you do 3 different things in that first hour that you wake up. So I'll report back once I figure out what those are. I'm trying not to read ahead. So, but it's been like, it's just been, I can't put it down. And usually I like can easily put down a business or a topic book. Like I usually don't read a lot of fiction, which makes me boring. Although I am listening to Rules of Civility by Amor Tolls. Don't quote me on that. Old book. That's all the fiction I have in my life right now. But usually like business type books I can easily put down and like don't keep me turning the pages, but this one's been good.
Yeah.
Robin Sharma also wrote The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, and that one, and I think a couple of his are kind of like put in the same genre as it's about the journey, The Alchemist. There we go.
Oh, I read that years
so I haven't.
ago.
I bought it with this book too. So I think similar genre.
I think I need to revisit it because I read it like
Are you a
before I
reader?
had kids. Oh yeah.
So what are you on?
Well, I actually just finished The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna.
Okay.
It's like a novel. I just put a book away. I'm a finisher. I don't finish. And I just returned Atomic Habits to the library, and I was super proud of myself for that.
Ayo.
Did you read it?
Have started and stopped it maybe 3 times.
Okay, interesting. So, okay.
Which is not my nature, but
I just felt like I've read a lot of books like that, like self-helpy genre books. Like I just finished Essentialism. Yeah, and as I was reading Atomic Habits, I was like, you basically just finished this book. Like it's Essentialism isn't that, but I just was like, you don't need to always have a book that is self-help, because I always feel like I have to have a self-help. I have to have a fun one, like The Great Alone, which is just like a fiction. But I was like, you know what? I don't look forward to reading this. I'm not excited about reading this. I'm freaking returning it with Kristen Hanna. And yeah, so I don't know. I just downloaded a book on my Kindle from the library, a Diane Chamberlain book. It's just another fun read. I'm on hold for Anxious People, which is Frederick Bachman. He wrote A Man Called Ave. I always say it wrong. Very popular book. I'm like 52 on the waiting list though. So yeah, I love reading. Cool. If I don't have a book, I'm always feeling sad about it.
Cool.
I live alone finally. Sounds weird to say. I've had roommates my whole life.
Yeah.
I'm like late 20s, just bought a house. So now I'm like all this free time at the end of the day. And so Carolyn lives in Denver. So like I have a 2-hour time difference to accommodate for with the like talking to the girlfriend after work thing. So it's like there's a big gap.
Do you watch shows?
I haven't turned on my TV in a while. I will more often like scan YouTube for stuff to watch. Like, I don't know. Ultra running stuff, music stuff I haven't watched before, like interviews, podcasts. Like I've watched some of that kind of stuff, but I am every time someone recommends a show that I think I need someone to step alongside me when I watch a show and get me started and then get me hooked. Mm-hmm. But I'm just not one to say oh, you should really watch Breaking Bad. I'm just I'm not going to start Breaking Bad.
So good.
See, I know.
You should watch
all these
Breaking Bad.
Hey, guess what? I haven't watched Game of Thrones. I'm sorry.
I don't watch Game of Thrones either. My husband watched that by himself because I don't like violent movies.
I just I rewatch shows that I've watched.
But you
already.
watched Breaking Bad.
I feel like Game of Thrones was always like,
well, yeah,
all this like
gory,
yeah. sexual, violent, like everything. I don't even know if that's true, but from what I heard,
that's accurate.
It's mostly true.
And I'm like, I don't want that. I forget there was another one that he was watching that I was like, I don't want. It was like a cartel show.
Narcos.
Yeah.
There was a rape
love
scene,
Narcos,
and I was like,
didn't you?
goodbye. I'm never watching this again. Like my soul cannot handle that.
Yeah.
Usually, I want to wind down in the evening and not get like jazzed up. So
yeah, that's what.
try to stay away from some of those shows.
Exactly, and that's what he likes to watch. Yeah. I'm watching Schitt's Creek. I don't even love it. People love it, but I'm just watching it to watch it.
I guess I say that, but then I like Blacklist is one of my favorite shows, and it's like it's kind of one of those like crime shows where it's like not true crime, but like all the crimes you think could certainly be happening in the world, and you're like, okay, this really worries me.
Yeah.
Like the plots against the U.S. government and like things like that I watched at like 11 p.m. last night. So to say I only watch relaxing stuff is wrong.
And then if you had trouble sleeping, you wonder why.
Yeah, big surprise.
I watched The Lion King before bed because I let my oldest just sleep on our floor last night, and he fell asleep watching The Lion King. So that's what I
Have you watched the new Mulan? Yeah, the one that's $30 on Disney Plus. Like you got to pay for Disney Plus, and then you got to pay $30 more to get the movie.
Just to get access. That's kind of
just
because
they couldn't take it in theaters.
I mean, I feel like you should pay like $12 or like $15.
Yeah, I think their justification.
Is it like 12 hours long?
No, I mean, it's just a normal movie, but I think their justification is like you would have taken your family to the movies to see this anyways.
Yeah.
But since we couldn't release it during COVID, we're going to make you pay for it. So eventually.
But then at least you have it forever, right?
I don't even know.
Oh, you're not renting it for $30, sure.
I'm not. I don't know. Don't quote me. But I loved Mulan growing up, so I'll watch it soon.
Yeah. Did you say a book, Casey? What'd you say?
Shoe Dog.
Yeah.
Ride of a Lifetime.
Yeah. Okay, what's your one message to send to the world? It's a big one.
Watch out for intersections. And by that I mean when a lot of things in your life seem to be colliding or are at kind of intersections of each other, pay attention to that and put them together to kind of leverage your next actions. That's probably what I learned big from this was that, and that was not all on my own. That was kind of from Casey, but pay attention to our loves in like 3 or 4 different areas converging to realize that you should take action on something. And that may be just for a season, like for us and for me, it was like, all right, I'm going to focus in on these 100 days. And that season may end and you may move on to something else. But that's what I feel like I learned this summer. When it feels like there was a lot of bad happening around the world, that was that, and a lot of the conversations we had were things that were good. And then I reheard this yesterday, so I'll share it. But if you're ever feeling kind of down upon yourself or like having trouble activating, stop thinking selfishly and turn it kind of external. Is like go do something for someone else, and that often will kind of completely turn your day and your emotions around.
It's good.
Well said.
Follow that up.
That's very hard to follow up. I'm a big just mood follows action person. So there's some themes that run similar to what Trevor just said, but and in light with this story, if you feel called to do something, if you feel like you've got dreams or vision, just act, and that can always get you, I feel like, out of a rut, right? So if your mood needs change, if you feel like it needs change, just act in some certain way, and you will end up in a place that either you saw you were going there, or maybe you end up somewhere differently, and that's okay. The point was to take a step towards something else, and so I'll just leave it with that. Mood follows action, and focus on the process. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Even with the bird and everything. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for being here today. Thank you, Casey and Trevor, for coming on the show. Keep doing what you're doing. You guys are a light in our city here in Indianapolis, and I know that can happen all around the country as well, not just here. So thank you for encouraging other people to get out and connect with their neighbors, and we will look forward to supporting you and New Shoe Day as things happen for you all over there. All right, friends, you can connect with us on social media. On Instagram, we are the Illuminate Podcast. We also have a Twitter account, Illuminate_pod, and we're on Facebook as well. Definitely check us out on social media. Leave a rating and review if you enjoyed it, and share it with a friend on social media, your favorite text message chain, whatever it is. Thanks for being here. Go do something good for someone else today.